Thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this beautiful sacred space we've created here. If you will, take a breath with me as I start this video. Thank you. Think of something you're grateful for, just anything, and just put that energy out of how grateful you are right now, because that's what we're doing here. We're vibrating at a higher frequency here. That's the whole point, okay? That's the whole point. So why you see patterns when you're on psychedelics? Maybe sometimes you see patterns, maybe sometimes you see shapes, maybe sometimes you see geometry, maybe sometimes you notice that certain things look less complicated than they usually look, or you notice certain shapes, whatever it is. This conversation specifically is not so much scientific. This is more piecing together different things that I've noticed and seen and experienced. So this is what I've come to as far as my understanding of why we see those patterns. So if you will, just consider this all as a possibility, okay? But it makes a lot of sense to me. So I want to share it with you guys. So let's go way back to foundation right now, because I think that's where we need. Oh, also I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts, little Goku here. Let's go back to the foundation, okay? So along my journey, I've met with a handful of shamans, and one of the shamans in particular, as we were having conversations in the charla, which is an open-ended conversation that we have, that the indigenous people have when they're in the process of holding sacred ceremonies. They'll do it before the ceremony, they'll do it after the ceremony. It's a sacred speaking and talking time, okay? Communication time. And one of the stories that when the shaman kept bringing up was the story of that in the beginning, there was one light. And this light was everything. This light was everything. So you could think of this light as this light was God, this light was the ether, this light was the unified field, this light was the quantum field, whatever you call it. This light was the universe, but like before it became the universe, whatever it is, the energy, all of it, right? That was what the light was. And at some point, a prism was introduced, okay? A prism. So you know those diagrams where you have a light going through a prism and then it gets split into a rainbow, right? And so within the rainbow, there's 7 colors, okay? And they look like they're separated, but we know this. We know, if you don't know, you don't have to know. It's okay if you don't know. But I think it gets taught in school, and many of us know that the light gets refracted into a spectrum of light that exists within the original light. It's just being separated in an illusion, okay? It's not actually being separated, it's simply an illusion of separation, okay? So many people, the ancients knew this. The ancients always referred to this, not always referred, but many of the ancients referred to this reality that we exist in physically as the dream of separation, okay? The illusion of separation. You may have heard that before. Even the Matrix, right? So this light goes through this pyramid, gets refracted, creates 7, okay? An illusion of 7. It's not just 7, right? It's 7 main lights, but within the 7 is also an infinite spectrum of other variations of the light, okay? So when I started to think more and really like feel into that story. It's like, okay, that's a cool, at first I thought that's a cool analogy, but as I continued to look and understand and listen and feel, I started to notice that, okay, wait, everything is vibration in this universe. We've come to understand that from both a scientific and a spiritual level, okay? Everything is vibration. So there's this point that I got to where I realized maybe it's not an analogy. Maybe it's actually the way it is, which is why he said it so many times. And when we start to consider that maybe that's actually the way it is, start to notice things, okay? So one of those things is that when we do psychedelics, we're rewiring our brain to be able to tune into different frequencies that we didn't have the capacity to do without the introduction of the psychedelics. Maybe we did have the capacity for it, but not to the extent where we could experience it the way we do when we intake whatever substance it is. And, we know that like our brains naturally produce DMT, our eyes also can produce DMT. These are scientific facts, right? So why do these plants specifically, I'm specifically speaking on plant medicines here, why do these plants have us, plant medicines being like mushrooms, salvia, combo, maybe, combo's not a plant medicine, ayahuasca, you get the gist. If you don't, then look it up, it's all out there. But we take these plant medicines that alter our states of consciousness, and we'll start to see these patterns and shapes, fractals maybe. Maybe you'll see triangles and circles overlaid on top of each other. Maybe you'll just see patterns that are just infinitely repeating. And the reason that is because when you go back to, there was the light, and then the light went through the prism and was separated into this illusion of separation that we call reality, okay? You go back through the prism for a moment to get back to the original light. And that original light is love, God, unified field, whatever it is that you want to call it. But we go back through the prism, okay? You could think of the prism as even a vortex. So we go back through the vortex. And what I've come to understand is that as we're going, our consciousness is moving through that vortex, we start to see the underlying sacred geometry that makes up this physical reality, okay? So we're going through the prism being a triangle, the triangle, multi-faced triangle, but the triangle is the shape of basic stability. And so this physical plane all manifests within the realm of this prism, okay? This physical stability. So we go through a vortex, and that allows us to tap into the unified field, the quantum field, the energy of God, the oneness, the unity, all of it, okay? You can call it whatever, but it allows us to tap into that, and then when we tap into it, things feel different. We start to realize that we're not separated, okay? This is also similar to what, not similar, this is also another way to explain the experience of what we call an ego death. Because what is an ego? An ego is just the self-identification that we have when we're here in this physical realm to keep ourselves separate from another. When in reality, we're all actually the same awareness, we're the same consciousness, we're the same I am. No matter where you go in the world, it's the same I am. Everyone speaks the same I am. A friend brought that up for me the other day, and she's amazing. So it's the same I am, and it's the same consciousness, and it's the same awareness. But what are we doing with that awareness, okay? And so the reason why I even bring this conversation up at all is because once you realize what's happening, when you take those psychedelics, when you move into an altered state of consciousness, okay, the point isn't just to keep going back to do the thing, unless that's what you really feel called to do in your heart of hearts, okay? Some people have a lot of healing to do, and specifically plant medicine, okay? That's the only one that I'll advocate for, and only if you're in the space for it. That's your own personal discretion, okay? But I've done it so that I can tell you about the experience of it. This is also part of why when we go through psychedelics, that experience, many of us have bad trips, okay? I've had bad trips, and I think what happens is if we blame the bad trip on the medicine itself, we're not getting the lesson, okay? It's not the medicine that's giving us a bad trip. If you subscribe to the belief, which is what I've experienced in my life and which I've discovered that many ancient wisdom and teachings have all culminated into, is that this physical reality is in many ways a reflection of our own internal state, of our own creation that we keep speaking, thinking, actioning into existence, okay? But usually in physical reality, it takes a little bit of time for things to manifest, right? Like, oh, if I speak something into existence, maybe it doesn't come for a year, maybe it doesn't come for 5 years, maybe it comes the next day, right? Who knows? But there's this time separation, which makes things maybe occur like they're not us happening to ourselves, like we're not projecting it, but that it's actually happening to us, which is not the case. It's not the case at all. It's happening for us to see, for us to learn. People, other people, this world is people reflecting our energy back to us, okay? So when you remove the so-called veil, as you enter these altered states of consciousness, what's going to happen is, if you have things in between you and your most natural self-expression, who you really are, like your conscious awareness, as that is, as powerful as that is, whatever that looks like for you, that will get exposed, and in a sense, the mirror will be right in front of your face and you'll be looking at yourself. But not like the you that you actually are, the powerful you, the you that can create anything, but the you that you have accidentally created maybe, or that you have the things that get in the way for you, whether that be your anxiety, your fear, any shadow work that you may need to come up against, that stuff will come up. And it's a really, really harsh experience, especially if you're not ready for it, if you haven't created an intention for it. But when you create an intention, when you're ready for it, here's the secret, okay? And this is where it all comes back to. You are the creator of this too. You are the one that created all of it. Now, I know that may sound like a lot of responsibility, and in a sense it can be, but break down that word, responsibility. It's responsibility. You're able to respond when you take responsibility for something. You were responding anyways. You were the one that created this thing in the first place. But now when you take ownership of it, you get to own that you are the one that created this, and so you can create something else. But you must realize that you are the creator first. You're the creator of your own life experience. So, all that being said, thank you for listening. If I lost you in any part of the conversation, feel free to leave questions in the comments. If you have any experiences that you want to share about, feel free to do so. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing rest of your day, and keep on vibrating at a high frequency, because that will, I guarantee you, if you continue to do that work, you will have a fulfilled, amazing, beautiful life. Okay? Thank you.